us understand the next property, that is the font properties from CSS3. And you know that font is the like one property for the shorthand property, right? So even these all are the font size, font style, font variant and all. It is the font weight. These are the CSS1 property itself. But here we have to understand the font face, at the rate font face. Okay. So to understand this property here, it is a CSS3 new features. There are some other like font size adjust and font stretch here. Now you can look at here the font face. Here you have to say at the rate font face, and you have to give some kind of name. You have to specify the font name and give the URL where the font file is there, right? Font stretch, you can say normal, condensed, and you can say ultra condensed, extra condensed, semi condensed, expanded. So you can use this kind of value for the stretch. Font style, normal, italic, as you know. Font weight, uh, these are the some old properties, not have a much discussion on that. So let us understand how to create it. First of all, we have to understand this stuff. I have a two font in this. Sometimes what happens, suppose you are making your own font and that you want to use it, right? So if this is the state, then consider we are having some kind of font like sensation light and sensation light, TTF and EOT. This is for the Internet Explorer. I actually configure or understand EOT file. So TTF is a normal font extension, TTF, right? If I just open here, you notice that this is the font. Well, okay. If you want to install, just install it. This font will get in your system. But I have a page. I'm just designing one web page, and that web page is using this font. Okay. And if browser is not having this font, what will happen? So how we can send this font, or what we can do so that browser can get this font and use it and display it in the browser, right? So I have this two file in this location. Now come back to here. So here we are saying at the rate font face, and inside that I'm saying font family and giving the name my first font. This is the name of the font, right? And src source, where is the source of this font? URL. So both file we are specifying. The second is for the sake of Internet Explorer. Now consider I have a div. In the div I'm saying font family my first font. So here I'm not saying Arial, Algerian and some kind of Courier and Lucida Sans and all sans serif. We are just using my first font because I have defined this my first font here and given the name here, right? And then we are using this div here, right? In this div, font family will what? My first font. What is my first font? This is. So it will use this font. Look at here the changes, the effect which happen with the text. This is a normal text, right? I'm not using div here. Here it is with CSS3. So website can finally use fonts other than the pre-selected website font, right? Okay, if you want to see the code here, just let us understand the code here. Font face. Let me open here. Edit plus. This is the code which I'm using, and open with Google Chrome. Now you have noticed that the font, look at here, right? Now, so I can give any name here. Say the font name is XYZ, and then I can say here if I say my first font, suppose I given the name something else, right? So if I save it here and if I go here and say refresh, so not getting that, isn't it? Now here I say I want that XYZ font, XYZ. Now we can try here, refresh it. So the effect you are getting, right? So we understood the concept of font, how to make a font family, own family, font family, and use it in the text. Okay. Now there are some other properties related to the generated content we are having, but these are not still implemented by any of the browser. So I cannot explain here. The grid properties, grid column and grid rows, again it is not having much implementation. In a hyperlink, they have introduced target, target name, a target new and target position, but still it is under implementation. I cannot explain anything about this. There are several stuff related to the line box properties. So alignment adjust, alignment baseline, text height, line stacking shift, lot of stuff is there, but still it is under development, not supporting any of the browser. In the list, we know list style image, we can use image as a list. Like we are having some circle, square, and right. List style type specify the type of list item marker. So this is old properties, CSS1 properties, and we have seen in CSS1 and CSS2. Even if we talk about margin properties, this is also a very old margin bottom, margin left. It is all CSS1 properties only, right? MarQ. There are some new properties has been introduced in MarQ. MarQ directions, MarQ play count, MarQ speed, and MarQ style. But still, it is not developed or implemented by any of this. Okay. Next, we have to understand multi-column properties. Okay, multi-column properties. How we can display the content in a multi-column? Like you always read newspaper, right? So you have noticed that in the newspaper, if one article is there, that article is divided into multiple columns, 3-4 columns displaying and having one article, right? How we can do that in our browser? So there is some concept like column count, column fill, column gap, column rule. So column rule color, column rule style. Okay. So specify the color of the rule between columns, style the rule between the columns, right? So we can specify the width, column span. So we'll discuss few of them here. Look at here. The one code is there in front of you. So one article is there, but this is divided into the 5 column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 column, right? So the column count property is only supported in Opera. If we are writing even the column rule and gap and all, but you will not able to get in Chrome and Internet Explorer. Firefox support an alternative, the like hyphen mouse column count property. Safari and all WebKit column count. But you will be getting only in the Opera here because Opera has implementation of this. Okay, and column rule and column gap here. So how much the gap between the column, right? So let us have the example here now. Have you noticed this code where I have tried has some name I have given and say column count equal to 5. Make it 5 columns, see. And column gap is what? 22 pixel. So if we are writing some article by some mean and say ID equal to that name, right? And this div ID is having this much content, and this will get render in 5 columns the whole content. So we have a column count, how many columns you want, how much the gap in between the column you're looking for. Okay, so let me open this and explain more. Column count. Multi-column. So if you open this code in a Internet Explorer, see the output here. It is not coming in 5 column. It is all coming in 1 column only, right? Well, if I open this code in Chrome, so open with Google Chrome here. So here also we are not getting effect. Now let me open with Opera here. Say right click and open with, I say, Opera Internet Browser. Okay. So you have noticed clearly here that whole data and the article is divided into the 5 column, right? 3 to 5, isn't it? If I go to this code, open the code here, and say this is the column count 5. Let us make it 3 only here, and gap is 10 pixel. Save it here and check it now. So what you have noticed, now 3 column, the gap is also less, right? If you justify, it will have a good alignment. But now if I write this same line and I say copy, paste, and here I say hyphen kit hyphen column, right? Similarly here also I do hyphen kit hyphen column gap. Save it. Now go to here, refresh it. So you have noticed that if you're just writing hyphen kit, it will support it in a Chrome also, right? But normally it is, you're able to display in a Opera directly. So that's what multi-column stuff, multi-column or column count and column gap. So I hope you understood this one, right? Well, so there are some padding related that already we understood in CSS1, and there's some new features like with page media properties, fit, position, image orientation, space, size, and all. So it is not supported by any of the browser, right? Now if we talk about the positioning properties, so these all bottom, top, left, right, all these are the new, not new, it is a old property of CSS1 and CSS2, right? Overflow, position, visibility, Z index, and all. If we talk about the print properties, we are having page break after, page break before. So these all are the again old property of CSS1 and CSS2. There are some Ruby properties. So Ruby line, Ruby overhang, Ruby positions, and Ruby span. So Ruby line controls the text alignment of the Ruby text and Ruby base contents related to each other. Okay. Ruby overhang determines whether and on which side Ruby text is allowed to partially overhang any adjustment text in addition to its own base. When the Ruby text is wider than the Ruby base, okay, so Ruby positions. Let us have one example. You can see this. Some text is on the top, some text is in the like along with, some text is hanging. So we can use here Ruby example. Ruby overhang white space. Background, the color of background. Okay. So here I'm saying example. I'm using example here. Now rt.example. So 12 pixel color red. So here we are saying rt class example Ruby text. So what is happening here? You have noticed that this text is going on the top, right? Now here if you write Ruby position inline, so it is along with the text, right? If you're saying here Ruby position above, it is coming above. So we can use Ruby positions where you want the text. You want on the top or some inline or below, that you can use it. Okay. There are some speech related properties but still not implemented by any of the browser. Okay. Table properties like border collapse. If you want to merge the border with outer border or inner border. Caption side, whether you want the caption side on the top or bottom. So empty cells, table layout. These all are the old properties of table. Okay. And the next we will see the text properties. How to make a shadow here. Okay. So that's all about understanding of font we understood, and some other Ruby text and some other properties which we have seen, which is still not implemented by any of the browser. Okay.